how can you take a poem from the page and turn it into an experience that is enjoyable to your audience and hopefully also to yourself. We're going to be talking about some tools of communication that you can apply to poetry, that you can apply to performance, and that you can also apply to the next time that you even just have a conversation with other people. Thank you for being here with me. I appreciate you. So I think before we even start talking about what do we do with a poem and like how do we perform it, I think it's good to have a baseline to kind of see where we're at. Okay, so I have a poem on screen right here. What I'd like you to do, if you can just read for me maybe like the first 4 lines down to like steel.
Should I read it the way I would normally
Yeah,
read it?
just the way you would normally read it. Yeah, exactly.
I like cutting the cucumber, the knife slicing the darkness into almost transparent moons, each with its own rim of night. I like smashing the garlic with the flat of steel and peeling the sticky papers in from the clove.
Perfect. Okay. Do you feel like that was pretty typical?
Yeah.
So when you're reading that, what are you thinking about? If anything.
Okay. When I'm reading it myself, before I read this,
Yeah.
I was really thinking about the imagery and what was going on.
Okay.
But when I'm reading it in front of other people,
It's not coming across.
I'm not really feeling it. I'm more like just reading it.
You're just trying to survive.
Yeah.
You're just up there just trying to get through the poem. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm not thinking of it
Okay.
like that.
Cool. So I want to get some background. So I am also a teacher. I do ESL, specifically focusing on pronunciation. And what my students very quickly find out is we're not actually talking about pronunciation. No, we're actually talking about communication. Because what we're learning is we're trying to learn the techniques that people who speak English, or more importantly, who are native speakers, native English speakers, what are we listening for in order to determine not only if something is understandable, but also if something sounds natural. Because we've probably had the experience of talking with someone who's learned English before, and we can immediately tell they're not a native speaker. Why is that happening? And so today we're going to be talking about performance, but the reality is we're really going to be talking about communication, and we're going to be talking about the things that your audience members or the people that you talk to are going to be listening for when you talk. Okay. This really comes down to, for the purpose of our workshop today, we're going to be talking about elements of contrast. When I say contrast, what do you think of?
I think of contrast between the different, like in this poem, the different shapes and the sounds of how they sound, like cutting the cucumber versus knife slicing. I mean, it's kind of interesting how there's almost the same sound going on.
How about like just in general, like if someone says, oh, this has high contrast, what are some things that have high contrast in life?
Like light and dark.
Sure, that's probably the first one I think of, is like black and white. That's about as high contrast as you can get.
Yeah.
So this is kind of what we're talking about. And I think one thing that we're going to see by the time this workshop is over and we read that section again is that you're going to have so many more tools of contrast at your disposal that it's going to give a completely different experience to your listener. There's a couple of areas of contrast I want to start with. The very first area of contrast I want to talk about is pitch. Okay. When I say pitch, what do you think of?
Think of high pitch and low pitch.
High pitch, low pitch. I think of a piano. Kind of the same thing. Okay, so a piano has what, like 82, 88 keys on it. Okay, so we can think like the left-hand side, those are your like low bassy notes, and then the right-hand side you have your higher pitch notes and things like that. Okay. So then my question for you is, when you're talking with people or when you're performing a poem, how many keys are you using?
I don't think I'm using that many because I think that most of what I'm reading is probably in the mid-range.
And I think that's honestly where a lot of people are. And can you imagine if I just read this entire poem like this the entire time? Like, why are you smiling at me like that? Because how long would it take before you fell asleep?
Not long.
Not long. But it's the opposite problem too, right? Because if I use high pitches, right? So there's not anything wrong with a low pitch or a high pitch, but the problem is when we stick with one. And what we're seeing with people is we're staying at a very comfortable medium. We're sticking right around that, into that mid C the entire time. And like we just said, if we stick with that range, in all honesty, what can we expect our listener to do with that?
They're not gonna see a range in the poem. They're gonna view the whole poem as like right in the middle.
They might not even hear the poem. They're gonna fight to hang with you, but they're gonna fade out because you're not giving them a reason to stay. You could have the best words, the best lines, the best images, but if the delivery is off, there's going to be a disconnect automatically. Okay, so we're gonna play a little game. Okay, so let's go down to clove, kind of like where you stopped the original time. What I want you to do is I want you to kind of do some wind-ups. What we're gonna do is I want you to start really, really low in pitch, but then as you go, I want you to go really, really high, and then I want you to go low in pitch again, and then I want you to start going high, and see if you can do maybe like 2 or 3 cycles by the time you get down to clove. Can you try that for me? Yep.
I like cutting the cucumber, the knife slicing the darkness into almost transparent moons. I'm having trouble lifting it. Yeah.
Okay, so let's maybe restart. Let's maybe restart.
Yeah, I can't
Okay,
lift it.
that's fine. That's fine. So what I want you to do, let's maybe just try to do what I do with my students. When we introduce pitch, we do a scale. Okay, so let's maybe start at our midpoint and maybe the lows. It seems like you're more comfortable with lows than highs. Usually with people, there's one half that's easier than others. Okay, so it seems like you're comfortable in that bottom register. Okay, so I want you to try doing this. Let's use the word this. We're just going to go down 5 times. It's like this, 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 this.
This.
Okay, I think some of those last ones got a little bit stuck. So this is something that we can also practice. This is what singers do. I don't know if you ever sang.
Yeah, I mean, I took some lessons.
Yeah. They just do scales. How do they warm? They warm up with scales, right? Okay, and just doing them over time. 5 minutes of scales. This can have a pretty big impact for us. Okay, let's try to do that one more time. Maybe a little bit faster. That might help too. So again, this.
This.
Okay, that was much better. Yeah. Okay. Can we go back from that low pitch to that mid? It's like this.
I could probably sing it, but I don't.
Okay, if we gotta sing, we can sing. That's cool. We're gonna get weird today.
This.
Ooh, I think we went the other direction. Isn't this... So I think this brings up a great point. We're in a controlled setting. We're doing an exercise with attention and intention. If we're having trouble doing it with focus, then what are we doing when we're not focused? You know what I mean?
I think probably it's all in the mid-range.
Yeah. Okay. If you find that step exercise difficult, you can also try dragging. Sometimes dragging can help. So like, for instance, can you try doing this? Yeah. Okay.
That's more like
That's a little easier. Okay. So now let's try dragging, and then let's try doing steps. So like this. That seems a little easier. Okay. Let's try doing opposite. So we're going to start low and go high. We'll drag first, like this. There we go. Yeah, there it is. Cool. So if you find that difficult, that's one thing you do is try to just doing the drag first. Okay. Having done that, the next thing we can try doing is we can try the other side. So let's try seeing what you can do with your highs. Okay. And it seems like the dragging helped, so we're going to try dragging again. So can you say this? Very good. So then let's try adding the steps like this. this, 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 this.
This.
Perfect. I want you to try doing that one more time. So again, this, 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 this.
This.
Good. Okay. So, having done that, let's now just try doing some quick little, almost like roller coasters. So, like, can you do like Can you try doing that for me?
Do I go up and down first, or it doesn't
Any
matter?
direction, whatever is easier. Yeah. Yeah, good. You're already starting to access some highs that we weren't getting before. So this is good. Okay. All right. So like, let's just take maybe in this poem, like let's go down to cucumber. So we're going to start low, go high, then low again. So like, for instance, can you say, I like cutting the cucumber?
I like cutting the cucumber.
Yeah. Okay.
Nope, never done that before.
That's okay. That's what we're going for. We're going for weird. Okay. All right. Let's go back to our original exercise. Okay. Where I want you to see if you can have 2 or 3 cycles where you go real low for a bar, but then you start going higher, and then you go low again. And then you start to go high, and then you start to go low again. Can you try that again down the clove?
I like cutting the cucumber. The knife slicing the darkness into its almost transparent moons, each with its own rim of night. I like smashing the cucumber like with the flat of steel and peeling the sticky paper skin from the growth.
Okay, you survived. Look at this. Okay, so I'm gonna let you in a little bit secret about how English works. Okay. So English is very different than a lot of other languages. English is called a stress-timed language. Okay, so we're not syllable-timed. If we think of like Cantonese is syllable-timed. Your Romance languages are syllable-timed, where it's like da 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 da. English doesn't do that. English does more like da 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 da. It's like things kind of run together a little bit more. Okay. When we talk, we do not talk one word at a time. I do not talk like this when I talk. I talk like this when I talk. Okay. So, one thing that we can do to our advantage, what's our listener listening for? Our listener is listening for changes in pitch after every basically group of words. They're called thought groups. Every thought group, I change the pitch. I just did it there. Every thought group, I change the pitch. If I change the thought group, I change the pitch. If I change the thought group, I change the pitch. Okay. Where we put thought groups is very subjective. There's not really there's a lot of possibilities. Okay. Can you read the first line for me again from I like down to darkness?
The way I used to.
Sure,
read it.
that's fine. I'm going to tell you where your thought groups are, and then we're going to play around with it a little bit more. Can you read that first line?
I like cutting the cucumber. The knife slicing the darkness.
Okay, so you more or less have 2 thought groups. I like cutting the cucumber, stress on cucumber. The knife slicing the darkness, stress on darkness. Okay. Now, an issue was that, well, it's not really an issue, but one thing that from a listener's perspective that we can enhance further is if we change the pitch more. Because the way you read that was pretty flat. There wasn't really a change in pitch. It was more or less like, I like cutting the cucumber, the knife slicing the darkness. Okay. And let's be honest, we've been to poetry readings before. Most people you hear on the mic, even slam poets, have this problem. They're not changing the pitch level at all. So let's experiment. Let's try doing that first thought group, high pitch, and that second thought group, low pitch. And it doesn't have to be crazy high, and it doesn't have to be crazy low, but I want to hear a noticeable difference between them, okay?
I like cutting the cucumber. The knife slicing the darkness.
Can you give me like a Darth Vader voice?
Yeah. Knife slicing the darkness.
Okay, can you say it again faster? Say it at a more natural pace.
The knife slicing the darkness.
The whole line.
Okay, the high stuff and then the low stuff.
High and low, yeah.
I like cutting cucumber. The knife slicing the darkness.
Can you go even faster on that first part? You're like, I like cutting the cucumber.
I like cutting the cucumber. The knife slicing the darkness.
Yeah. So already, from a listener's perspective, I'm not saying that that's the pitch range we want to be using, but already it's becoming a much more interesting, dynamic experience for me, from a listener's perspective.
Okay.
Because, and let's imagine, an actual reading, if we're actually kind of doing this. I think when people think like, they think bright, they think happy, they think positive, which leads to generally higher pitches. And when we see darkness, we think heavy, lower pitches and things like that. So that first line could be a great opportunity. It doesn't have to be crazy pitches. It could be like, I like cutting the cucumber. Can you say that for me? I like cutting the cucumber.
I like cutting the cucumber.
Yeah. And then
Knife slicing the darkness.
lower.
Even lower?
Yeah.
The knife slicing the darkness.
I think you're yelling, but I don't know if you're going lower. The knife slicing the darkness.
The knife slicing the darkness.
I like cutting the cucumber.
I
The
like
knife
cutting the
slicing
cucumber.
the darkness.
The knife slicing the darkness.
Yeah, do that one more time.
I like cutting cucumber. The knife slicing the darkness.
Alrighty, here we go. Now we're starting to get somewhere. Do you feel it?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of contrast.
There's a lot more contrast. Compare that to where we started. Whole different experience. Whole different experience.
See, people always tell me that I should just read slower, so that's what I usually do. I just move it to the point where it's really slow.
Okay, so let's move on to our second element of contrast. This is going to be kind of a quick workshop because there's a lot of material to cover, and we're probably not going to get to all the elements of contrast, but we'll give you a basis to start thinking about things. So let's talk about speed. Speed is another element of contrast. You mentioned people told you to read slower. They probably, when they said that, they probably thought, like, read the entire poem slow. So where's the contrast?
There was no contrast.
There is no contrast. So if I read an entire poem slow, I'm not reading anything slow. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Because
It's
it's just that's just the default now. So that first line again, how slow can you read it? Give me the slowest you can do.
Do you want me to do it high and then the other one low? Or just do them
I'm just worried.
speed?
I am entirely just worried about speed right now. That's all I'm worried about.
Okay,
If you
read it.
want to try the other stuff, that's cool. But I'm just worried about speed.
Okay, try to do it as slow
As
as I can.
slow as you can.
The whole thing. Those two.
That
parts.
first line.
Okay. I like cutting the cucumber. The knife slicing the darkness.
Okay. I don't think that was as slow as you could go. I think you could go way slower than that. Can you go twice as slow as that?
I like cutting the cucumber. The knife slicing the darkness.
Okay, darkness you really expanded on, the slowness. This is a great exercise to have a recorder. Take a recorder and time yourself. Because that's going to give you the best metric to be like, oh, I took 5 seconds. Can I double that? Can I take 10 seconds? Is that possible? What would 10 seconds sound like? Maybe it would sound something like this, like, I like cutting the cucumber, the knife slicing the darkness. Can you go that slow?
I like cutting the cucumber. The knife slicing the darkness.
Okay. You can go slower than that. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing, is that we're in a controlled setting where we can experiment. That's the whole point of being here. And we're still holding back. So then, what are we doing? I know I keep saying this, but what are we doing when we're performing?
Going fast.
You know? We got to start paying attention to this stuff. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do the opposite. So we just did slow. Let's go fast. How fast can you say that first line?
I like cutting the cucumber, the knife slicing the darkness.
I think go faster than that.
I like cutting the cucumber, the knife slicing the darkness.
Do you see that you're kind of falling into these cadences, like the knife slicing the darkness, which is kind of slowing you down, versus like the knife slicing the darkness?
Yeah, knife slicing the darkness.
Okay. I like cutting a cucumber, knife slicing the darkness.
I like cutting the cucumber, the knife slicing the darkness.
So neat. We're afraid to get messy.
Mm-hmm.
Can we just try? How messy can we get? I like cutting a cucumber, knife slicing the darkness.
I like cussing.
Cool. I like cussing. Cool.
I like cutting the cucumber, the knife slicing the darkness.
It's so neat. I understand every word. I don't want to understand every word. I like cutting a cucumber, knife slicing the darkness.
I like cutting the cucumber, the knife slicing the darkness.
I'm understanding everything. Okay. Which is obviously is not like a bad thing. The goal is not when we're reading to be not. Well, sometimes it might be to not be understandable, but like we got to play. Push more. Push more. Push more. We're still confined in the walls, and I want to break the walls. Okay. All right. Let's go back to an exercise, though. Kind of like what we did before. I want you to play around with the speed. Real fast and slow down. And we're going to go really fast, and then we're going to slow down. Can you go down the clove?
So go real fast first.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I like cutting the cucumber, the knife slicing the darkness into almost transparent moons, each with its own thin film of light. I like smashing the garlic with a flat of steel and peeling the sticky paper skin from the clove.
Okay. One thing I really liked about that. So there's this moment where in that second half where it says, I like smashing the garlic fast. And so this is a moment of joy and like. And one of the things that you did there, what you timed, I don't know if it was intentional, but that's the part where you went fast. You know, so you're like, with its own thin rim of night. I like smashing the garlic with a flat steel and feeling sticky paper. Like it expresses joy and excitement. So that's, I thought that really came across. I like that a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
I want you to read it again. Don't just like, oh, here I'm going to go slow and then I'm going to go fast and then I'm going to go slow. But just, I want you to just read it naturally, but kind of think about speed.
Read it naturally, yet try to incorporate speed.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Like do it more intentionally.
Exactly.
I like cutting the cucumber, the knife slicing the darkness into almost transparent moons, each with its own rim of night. I like smashing the garlic with the flat of steel and peeling the sticky, papery skin from the clove.
I need you to double what you just did. The pace was very regular.
Okay. Double the whole thing?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like if you're going slow, I don't want to like think like, is she going slower there? Like, no, I want it to be clear. Yes, she is definitely going slower there. Or like, is she going faster? I don't know. No, like I want it to be very obvious.
You want it to be a break. Okay.
Very obvious where you're going fast. Very obvious where you're going slow.
Okay. Kind of like when a person plays music or something.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Okay. I like cutting the cucumber, the knife slicing the darkness into almost transparent moons, each with its own thin rim of night. I like smashing the garlic with the flat of steel and peeling the sticky, papery skin from clove.
We're getting there. I still think you could double it, I'll be honest.
You mean double the difference?
Like, I like cutting a cucumber. The knife slicing the darkness into almost transparent moons, each with its own thin rim of light. I like smashing the garlic with the flat of steel and peeling the sticky, papery skin from the clove. You hear that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's different between my voice and yours, biologically?
You're in a well, I don't know. I think you're in a lower register.
Okay.
But
But
not sure.
but beyond, do you think we have different muscles and stuff like that? Like biologically, is there a ton different?
No.
No.
But maybe your vocal cords might be a little bit thicker.
But like, there's really not a ton different between you and me. There's really not.
I think you might be speaking in a lower register. phosphor, but I speak
Okay.
English.
This is true, but like biologically, there's not a ton different.
Okay.
Anything I do with my voice in general, you can do.
Okay.
There is nothing about the speed things I did there that you can't do.
Okay.
Do you agree or do you disagree?
Yeah, that's true. I just haven't really tried it that way.
Do you want to try one more time?
Mm-hmm. I like cutting the cucumber, the knife slicing the darkness into almost transparent moons, each with its own thin rib of night. I like smashing the garlic with the flat of steel and peeling the sticky, papery skin from the clove.
Where'd you go slow?
The knife slicing the darkness.
Oh, that's slow. Can you say that slower?
The knife slicing the darkness.
Can you go even slower?
The knife slicing the darkness.
Getting there. Okay.
The
Things I want you.
knife
Yeah.
Slicing the darkness.
Good. Questions for me so far?
Question?
Yeah. Any questions for me?
I guess the question is when you actually have to read a poem,
Mm-hmm.
how do you know when to go fast and when to go slow so that it makes sense with the poem? So you're not going slow where it needs to go fast and like that.
I think the more you practice it, the more you'll get a better kind of natural idea. A lot of it, again, is breaking patterns. English doesn't like patterns. That's where you probably heard the phrase like, oh, it's getting like sing-songy and stuff like that. What does that mean? It means it's getting predictable and the pattern is just repeating itself. English hates patterns. It's trying to break patterns constantly. So if you notice yourself falling into a pattern, break it.
Okay.
These elements of contrast teach you how to break them.
Okay.
Like for instance, we haven't talked about like this bottom part. Like, so for instance, like, give me a tomato bright as a parrot. Give me peaches like burning clouds. You know, I didn't prepare that. It's just like,
It just happened when you.
yeah,
when
you just
look
see
at
it and then you realize like what could feel good here.
Okay.
And the reality is there's lots of things that could feel good, but the worst feeling is going to be if I just don't do anything at all.
You just read it straight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we talked about two elements of contrast. We talked about pitch. We talked about speed. Let's talk about pausing. You don't like to pause in your speech.
My real speech or this speech?
Well, at least when you're performing. Probably in your real speech too. If you ask a question, how long do you wait for an answer?
I don't know.
Something to think about. Do you know what advice they gave us when we were teaching?
I don't know. Pause for a minute.
A minute is very generous. But if you can do that, cool. 10 seconds.
Okay.
How long is 10 seconds? 10 seconds is like this. So can you pause for 10 seconds?
Yeah.
That's your 10 seconds.
Okay.
So if you ask a question, try to do that. It's going to be very hard at first. You're going to feel very uncomfortable. Okay. And that's part of the reason why it works. From a teacher perspective, it's because students hate waiting. And so they're just kind of staring around. They get antsy, and eventually someone is just going to say something. Yeah. Pausing is very helpful because it gives people a chance to digest what you're saying. Pausing also amplifies whatever came before the pause. Like if I say, that's great. Wow. I just amplified the emotion of the great. Whereas like, if I'm like, man, sorry to hear that. You just amplified the sadness. Okay. I want you to read this. I don't care where, but I want you to try to have 5 pauses by the time you get down to clove.
5 10-second pauses?
They don't have to be 10-second pauses, but I want them to be noticeable pauses. Give me 1 second before you do that. 1 quick second. Whenever you're ready. I want 5 pauses.
Tell me what to do. I'm free of will. I carve the lamb into 1-inch cubes. I don't use a ruler, but I'd be happy to. Give me a tomato bright as a parrot. Give me peaches like burning clouds.
I'm going to stop you there. Where are you pausing?
Eddie.
Periods.
Yeah.
Looking at all this seizure. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to read it 2 ways. So I'm going to read it the way you did. Okay. With the pause on the periods, and then I'm going to read it a different way with the pauses elsewhere. Okay.
Okay.
Tell me what to do. I'm free of will. I carve the lamb into 1-inch cubes. I don't use a ruler, but I'd be happy to. Give me a tomato bright as a parrot. Give me peaches like burning clouds. Okay. Let's do the second way. No pauses on periods or commas. Tell me what to do. I'm free of will. I carved a lamb into 1-inch cubes. I don't use a ruler, but I'd be happy to. Give me a tomato. Bright. It's a parrot. Give me peaches like burning clouds. Hear the difference?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're almost breaking it like into the main parts of each of those sections.
It's that I can convey different emotions, right? Because I can be like, tell me what to do. So now I can try to play on the hesitancy, you know? I can use it to change meaning. Like I can say, tell me what to do. I'm free of will, which is very different than saying, tell me what to do. I'm free of will. That changes. It's a whole different meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Whole different meaning.
Yeah.
Pausing is powerful because I can say nothing of any real significance, and it sounds so profound, but I'm not saying anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we don't want to overuse it.
Mm-hmm.
However, we do still want to use it. It's probably one of the most underutilized tools in speech because everyone's afraid of pausing.
Mm.
People tend to fill up their speech with filler words like and you know and like, when in reality a pause may have been the more effective play.
Yeah.
I want you to read one more time. I want you to pause. No pausing on periods or commas.
Okay.
Starting from that tell me what to do part.
Tell me what to do. I'm free of will. I carve the lamb into 1-inch cubes. I don't use a ruler, but I'd be happy to. Give me a tomato bright as a parrot. Give me peaches like burning clouds.
Okay. How'd that feel?
It felt like there was more emphasis where there needed to be, and also it's breaking the sentence almost into halves each time. So there's more of a beginning, give me, and then the back end.
I heard that. Okay. We want to be, so one thing I noticed in that last group, so you're like, give me a tomato bright as a parrot. Give me. Again, I think that can be an effective device. I think it can also be one that leads us back into that predictableness. Like, I'll say it 2 ways. I just want you to compare. Give me a tomato bright as a parrot. Give me peaches like burning clouds. Versus, give me a tomato bright as a parrot. Give me peaches like burning clouds. Hear the difference?
Mm-hmm. You varied it.
Yeah. I can take any poem and turn it into any meaning I almost want it to. Like, I could take a poem that you've written and completely change the meaning. I could give the opposite meaning of what you intend. Just by playing with this stuff.
Right.
You know.
Is that what actors do?
They can.
When they have a role.
They can. You know.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. It's very interesting.
Questions on that?
So I guess when a person practices reading their own poetry, maybe they should practice reading it different ways and then mark up the paper.
I would totally like mark it up. Yeah. Well, I think you'll reach a point where it's not even necessary to have it like all marked up because you already have an idea. But I think when you first have a poem, you're trying to figure out how's the poem want to be read in that specific moment. And it could be that every reading is a little bit different, you know. But it's like, if you look at a lot of like comedians, like stand-up comedians, everything, the reason so many of them are so natural is because they've rehearsed everything. They've rehearsed when they do their laughs. They've rehearsed, like sometimes they'll like stutter, but that stutter is part of the, that's how they say it. Everything is, everything's, yeah, everything is.
Yeah.
You know?
Like Ellen DeGeneres. Her stuttering and acting nervous, that's really part of the act. Yeah.
So we gotta, a lot of poets and artists are still in that mindset that craft is going to be the thing that separates us. Craft is the assumption. It's the showmanship. It's the performance. It's like, how are we presenting our work to the world? That's what's going to separate us. That's the thing. Okay. I want to talk about one more element of contrast, which I call firmness. And it's kind of related to volume, but not just. It's the difference between saying, like, no, and no. Do you hear that difference? It's like the difference between like punching like stone and like wood. See how the difference in quality? Like, this is harder than like that, right? So it's like, we can play with degrees of firmness in our voice. We can play with degrees of firmness in our voice. We can play with degrees of firmness in our, right? Okay. So, what I want you to do, let's use those give me lines, because this could be a good way of contrast. So I want you to read that first give me line real firm, real strong. And I want you to read that give me peaches line soft.
Give me a tomato bright as a parrot. Give me peaches like burning clouds.
I think we go softer. I was thinking we go firmer. Can you say no for me? No.
No.
Firmer. No.
No.
Do you have kids?
No.
I can tell. Because that's not going to work. Let's this isn't a body language workshop, but we can prime our bodies to put ourselves into any feeling that we want. To give you an example, I'm going to give you a couple of directions to do with your hands. And I just want you to kind of feel the difference in your mind, just how you feel emotionally. Okay, so the very first thing I want you to take your hands, and I want you to put them above your elbows. It's like this, and hold in. So not like, so the way you're doing it like this is different than, I want you more hold tight. Yeah.
Hold it in. Okay.
Hold that for like 5 seconds. Okay, what do you feel?
Very tight.
Emotionally.
Yeah, like really rigid.
Okay.
Like angry.
A little angry.
Yeah.
I feel like upset. This is a defensive posturing. Is what you do when it's almost like self-regulation a little bit if you're trying to feel more comforted.
Yeah.
You know? Let's do the opposite. Can you do this? So we're taking our hands and just kind of holding them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's a camera there right there. Okay, hold that for like 3, 2, 1. What do you feel now?
More open.
More open. More open. So I want you to go back to this position, and can you just say hi and introduce yourself to me
Hi, I'm Debbie Strozier.
a little bit more?
Hi, I'm Debbie Strozier.
And what do you do?
I'm a food scientist. I'm a product developer.
Okay, let's do the opposite now. Hold that for like 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Give me the same intro.
Hi, my name's Debbie Strozier, and I'm a product developer at Habit Nutrition.
Okay. One of the things that happened there, when you opened up, your voice, your pitch was a little higher. Use a lot more rising intonation. Like, I'm Debbie Strozier. I do food scientist. So I'm Debbie Strozier. I'm a food scientist. Versus now you're a little bit more open and things like that. Can you make an angry face for me?
Yeah.
That's adorable. Okay. Like, see if you can furrow your brows, maybe squint your eyes a little bit, maybe like look down a little bit, and it may help to also like hands. What do you do when you're angry with your hands? Maybe go back to the original posture you did. Angrier. Like aggressive angry.
Oh.
Because this feels more like holding. I want more like,
Oh, yeah, that. Okay.
yeah. Okay, think about something that made you upset or angry.
Okay.
Were you angry recently? Anything at work make you angry?
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
Well, you mean what happened to make me angry?
Yeah.
Better not say anything.
Oh. Oh, okay. Tell me that line with the give me a tomato.
Give me a tomato bright as a parrot.
Okay, especially you're on parrot. Okay, cool. So now let's like you do, I want you to drop your hands. You can open up a little bit. Okay, you don't have to like go like that, but like anywhere that's like comfortable. Okay. Can you smile?
Okay.
Smile, and I want you to slightly tilt your head.
Okay.
More head tilt.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. Hold that for like 3 seconds. Smile, smile, smile. I want to see teeth, 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 teeth. This is great. 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're gonna be real soft. I want you to be real soft. Can you read that? Give me peaches like burning clouds line.
Give me peaches like burning clouds.
Can you say clouds? Cloud. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Can you say burning clouds?
Like burning clouds.
Give me peaches.
Peaches.
Just a touch firmer, just a little firmer. Give me peaches.
Give me peaches.
Ooh.
Like
Give me,
burning
yeah.
clouds.
Okay. We have our 2 lines. I want firm, I want soft.
Firm with the tomato.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Give me a tomato bright as a parrot. Give me peaches like burning clouds.
That wasn't as soft as you gave me before. I want softer.
Give me peaches like burning clouds.
Give me peaches like burning clouds.
Give me peaches like burning clouds.
Cloud.
Clouds.
Okay, you're very tight through here.
Okay.
You're very tight. Diaphragm.
Okay.
Breath, 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 breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Slow on the exhale. Slow, fade out. Okay, we're gonna do that again. We're gonna say that give me peaches line. Exhale the entire time. Give me peaches like burning clouds.
Give me peaches like burning clouds.
Very tight to the throat still. That was better, but still very tight through here.
Okay.
You hear it? Okay. Okay. Hear a difference?
Yeah.
Step. Okay. Questions for me on that element of contrast?
Okay. Yeah. Sounds like there's a lot of contrast between how you can say those words
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
All right. Let's go back to our initial reading. So at the beginning of class, I had you read this poem.
Yeah.
Since then, we've talked about pitch, talked about speed, talked about pausing, we talked about firmness. Do you think you could give me a reading that incorporates all of those to some degree? Doesn't have to be perfect, but just thinking about them.
I like cutting the cucumber, knife slicing the darkness into almost transparent moons, each with its own thin rim of night. I like smashing the garlic with the flat of steel and peeling the sticky, papery skin from the clove. Tell me what to do. I'm free of will. I carve the lamb into 1-inch cubes. I don't use a ruler, but I'd be happy to. Give me tomato bright as a parrot. Give me peaches like burning clouds. I'll pair those globes until dawn. The syrup.
Okay.
Thanks.
How do you feel?
It seemed almost like a dramatic reading. That's what it felt like.
Okay. Let's talk about that. You know, kids are great because what they express is genuine. When they are sad, you know, there is no doubt in the world that they are sad. When they are happy and overjoyed, it's very clear. We get conditioned out of that, you know, to hide stuff. To give you a real quick example of that, can you raise your hand? Can you raise it higher? Okay, that's the problem, is that we don't give our all immediately. We wait to be told to, right? Mm-hmm. It's not, we expect that more is going to be expected, so we're always holding back. We're always holding back. Constantly being conditioned. That's an exercise from Seth Godin. So when we suddenly start reverting into this sort of stuff, it feels unnatural to us. It feels dramatic and too much and over-exaggerate, when in reality, it's the opposite. It's we're getting closer to how we actually were, and that we've lost.
Yeah.
You know? And so there's a choice aspect. We can go back to what we tell ourselves is normal behavior for us. Or we can be like, you know what, that's actually the narrative I have of myself and how I behave is malleable, and I can add to it and become even more effective at communicating. Because all these things that we've learned actually make us worse communicators, because we're constantly holding back. You know? So I don't personally view it as being dramatic or exaggerations. I view it as actually being more genuine to who we actually are. You know? But yeah, these are all things we can tap into at any moment. The next time you have a conversation with someone, you can be thinking about, I might like start off a little high, like, hey, and then I'll go low. And then maybe I'll just add a pause. You know what I mean? Any final questions, things for me from today?
Yeah, thanks for going through that with me, because I always thought the main thing I needed to do was slow down my reading. So
That's probably the worst thing.
Oh.
It's probably the worst thing because everyone's just going to zone out. They're just going to zone out. I understand the intention of why people say that, but it's
Yeah, I was probably reading it too fast. That's why I was going to slow down.
the parts where you were probably reading fast were probably not fast enough, in all honesty. And then, but we didn't have anything to counterweight it, so there was probably weren't enough moments going slow. Because that's a tendency when people are nervous or things like that. Not to say you were nervous, but that is a tendency. People speed up.
Yeah, I see there's more to it, so this is good.
Yeah. Cool.
Try to practice more.
Practice with your poems. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool.